What's up, everyone? It is another beautiful day in San Diego, and I am back out here working on the van again. And as per usual, a few things to update you guys on. Number one, I'm sure you remember the little problem I had with my stove last week. Couldn't get it to fit in the cabinet that I had built custom for it, of course. However, I found a solution. What I had to do was cut a notch in the back of the cabinet. It left an ugly hole, but I'll be able to cover that up later, make it look nice like it was intentional. Now, the project for today is to get started on finishing the countertop. Now, I told you guys before I had something planned. I wasn't exactly sure if it was gonna work, so I wanted to keep a secret. Well, I'm gonna start working on it, so I can't keep it a secret any longer. Here's what we're gonna do. The very first thing is I'm gonna route a channel through this wood that kind of looks like a little river. The next thing I'm gonna do after that is lay probably 4 or 5 skim coats of concrete onto this plywood. I really wanted to do concrete countertops, but doing a proper solid concrete countertop in a van seems like a really bad idea with lots of vibrations and bumps and all that kind of stuff. Just seems like asking for a lot of trouble in a broken countertop. Following that, I wanted to do black concrete. So once the concrete is all set, I'm gonna stain the concrete black. Next step after that, that little river that I routed out is gonna get filled in with a few different shades of blue resin. I don't know if you guys all know this, but I shape and glass my own surfboard, so I have some experience with resin, and I wanted to bring that into this van build because honestly, the van is built for me to go on surf trips mostly. So gonna incorporate some surfboard building techniques into the countertop. Once that's done, the whole countertop is gonna get covered with another layer of resin and then sanded and finished. As if this entire build wasn't enough work, I wanted to make more work for myself with all the detail in this countertop. I am doing that intentionally. I want the countertop to be the centerpiece of the entire build, so I'm willing to put some extra effort into it. And that being said, I think I've talked about it enough. Cue the time lapse. It's almost done. It's so close. I can't wait to get everything up to this point. It's been about 6 days. I've kind of lost track. I don't really know. There's like 3 layers of concrete on this thing. I had to stain twice, then fill the resin river. There's 2 layers of resin on top of that, and there's 1 more layer of resin just on top of the river to help even everything out. At this point, the only thing left to do is to sand it completely flat and polish it. Then I can finally install it on the kitchen for the last time, install my sink, install my stove, and finally have a fully functional kitchen. So right about now is when I would have loved to have told you guys I finished sanding, installed the countertop back in the van, and I've got a fully working kitchen. However, that didn't happen. I started sanding and I noticed some pretty major problems. Essentially what happened is the ink that I used to stain the concrete and the resin that I used to seal it, they didn't like each other. They didn't bond, the resin didn't fully cure. It actually pulled the stain back out of the concrete and created this icky, goopy layer in between. And on a black countertop that's gonna spend some time in the sun, that's not a good thing. So what I've been doing for about the last half hour is scraping off all of the resin. I'm gonna let this concrete sit here for a little bit and dry. Hopefully some of the moisture comes out and we lose some of the goop. And then I'm gonna get back at this and try a slightly different method, hoping that we don't run into similar problems. Okay, so it's a few hours later, and earlier today I was able to entirely scrape everything off except for the resin river. That cured fine. That was just resin on resin, so no surprise there. But it was a lot of work to clean everything else off. I'm glad that I did that instead of starting all over. That would have just been way more work, and it would have hurt a little bit to admit defeat. So over the last few hours, I was able to, like I said, clean it up, come back, put more concrete on. Now I'm out here sanding in between coats. I'm gonna do probably just maybe one more coat here on the top, then a couple to take care of the edges and the bottom. I might stain it, I might not. I'll let you know later on in the video. That last coat of concrete was just enough, and I was able to call that part of the project complete. I then sanded everything smooth and prepared to seal it with some tung oil. Alright, Vanners and Grammars, it is Saturday morning, and I think I've been working on this countertop for probably something like 3 weeks now. It's definitely been the longest and most difficult part of this entire build, but it's finally done! It has been such a struggle and taken way longer than I wanted it to, mostly because I went just a little overboard on the design, but I'm so glad that I did, and I'm so glad that I stuck with it because this thing looks epic. I mean, I've never done anything like this before. I've never worked with concrete. I've never really tried to do a resin inlay before. Definitely a few speed bumps, but yeah, paid off. I'm stoked. Stove's already installed. That's looking pretty good. And like I said before, I was able to save my original location, so I've got this nice view right here while I'm cooking. And the next step is getting the water hooked up. And to get the water running, I just have to do a few quick things. So naturally, I've got a hot and a cold line coming out of my faucet. However, I don't have any plans on doing hot water in this build. I'm just gonna be running cold water from the fresh tank. So I only need the one source line. So what I've got here are just a couple brass fittings to help me connect the two hot and cold lines into one feed line. Well, I've got all the pieces in. Water pump's wired up. I've got some fresh water down below and a waste tank. I've tested it out and there's a few little leaks and some things that I'll need to tidy up, but essentially I have water. So all I have to do is turn on this little switch right here for my water pump and then this little lever here. And I've got water. What a freaking headache that entire process of the build was. I'm not gonna lie, a few times I definitely had some thoughts of giving up. Now obviously I did not give up because I did finish the build and she's been up for rent since the beginning of this year, 2020, and honestly gone almost every single weekend. People really have been loving it. Here, check out this review. Matthew Woolmer wrote, "Used Blanca for my trip with my girlfriend and our pup. We hit all of the national parks in the state, California, and spent 9 nights and 10 days in the van. Ben was an incredible host. He was always in communication with us and would respond really quickly to any questions we had. Ben even went as far as to work something out with us to be able to pick us up and drop us off at San Diego Airport. Blanca is a beast on the road, as long as you drive it responsibly and do not speed and make crazy maneuvers. Everything in the van worked as intended, and we had absolutely no issues in the 2,300 miles we drove on this trip. I'd highly recommend this listing and Ben as a host. He's a great person, and you can see he clearly cares about the safety and experience his guests have. Well, thank you, Matthew. That was an absolutely flattering review, and if you are in the San Diego area and would like to rent one of our rigs, make sure to head to www.vamonosvans.com for more info or to book now. So that wraps it up for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did and you want to see more of my videos, make sure to go down below, like the video, share it with someone who likes van life videos, and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you get notified when I make new videos. If you have any questions about van life, building your own van, or renting one of ours, you can also drop me a comment down below. And if you just have to watch more of my videos right now, make sure to go ahead and click this link right over here. That's a video that Google thinks you'll like. And until the next video, I'm Ben Price with VamosVans.com. Catch you guys in the next one.